Okay, we're live. Right, hi guys, it's Nick and Zaheer with our regular now Tuesday TAT chat. How you
The,
doing, mate?
the Tuesday TAT chat. I'm loving the name actually. I've got to say I like that a lot. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Just just getting on with things. Things are starting to become a bit more normal. My daughters went to school today, so it's been a
Yeah,
while.
I saw you. I think you posted a pic. She looked
Yeah, I
well
did.
smart in her brand new expensive uniform.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah. I mean, that was that. You know what? Maybe I'm naive, but Rebecca's always the one saying, oh, we need to have money for this. I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. It's not much. It's not much. It'll be fine. And she obviously has a much better handle of how much stuff costs because she was right. I mean, geez, I was thinking it was might cost us like like 100 or something like that. They hit me from left field with that uniform. But they do look smart in it. So
Well, it's the whole blazer and the whole thing.
oh,
Ellen had to
yeah.
start wearing a blazer this year, and they're
Yeah.
not cheap. And we can only get them from one place.
Well, that's the thing. The guy's got a monopoly. No wonder he was smiling. I mean, it's all polyester, and then they've got specific PE kits as well.
Yeah,
And I remember when I was at school, you used to be able to just get the school badge and a generic blazer and sew the badge onto the blazer.
yeah, that's what we
Um,
did.
yeah, and now doesn't seem to be an option for badge and blazer. It was just
No.
blazer or nothing. So yeah, two sets of uniform wasn't cheap, but
So, yeah.
still.
So how about reselling wise? How have you been? How was
Oh,
your
that. Oh yeah, is that what the chat's about? I forgot. Yeah.
We can go off on tangents, but most people have come here for reselling chat.
Well, I've had like my best week ever in sales, so it's pretty good, pretty pleased. I think is turnover wise, it was about £1,500 in the last 7 days, so that's my best week ever on eBay. So I'm
Yeah,
really
but
chuffed.
is that mainly due to your experiment you had?
I not, I think not all of it, but yeah, I mean probably about 30% of it. So yeah, maybe around that mark. I don't know if my maths are right there, but yeah,
Yeah,
it definitely helped. That's what bumped it up to that amount. Definitely. I've managed previously to do about like 1,000 turnover in a week before. So
yeah.
yeah, the extra 500 odd was definitely so that's more than 30% then, isn't it?
If you did 1,500, 500 is about a third.
Yeah, oh, it's about a third. Yeah, 33%. Yeah, that was about right then. About
Yeah.
right.
And you were saying before we came on air, you were
Yeah.
talking about the new eBay hub that you've got, and I went into my eBay and I've got no announcement, nothing
Yeah.
to, no link or anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's by the way, we should say hello to everyone as well. We've got 56 people already in the chat. So um hi everybody.
Yeah, hi guys. I will try and get the chat open again.
Yeah,
My other tab's on eBay at the moment.
we've got LGG in here, we've got Moheen, Aiden, Chelsea. So thanks for popping in, guys. Heather's in there, Chrissy, Simply Seen, Stello, Mark Davies. I'm doing this early because then it becomes impossible. Leanne, Kath, Oxford, Smart Reselling, Jersey Leams, Peter Buxton, Diamond D. I'm going to stop there because then it's going to keep going. But we've got 61 people watching now. So, but yeah, I I went into my eBay just this afternoon, I think it was, and I got this big white screen with like a message from eBay saying, would you like to join the seller hub? And I thought, well, eventually, I think everyone's going to have to join it, in a compulsory manner. So I thought, what the hell? Yeah, I'll join it. And they sent me a little email, but then now my my eBay page is completely changed, and I don't think there's any way of going back, or there may be, but I don't know. But yes, I'm now in the seller hub.
Yeah, I was obviously in eBay earlier doing what few orders I had, and I didn't get any message about inviting me to the seller hub or
Oh,
anything. So it'd be interesting if we put that out to our viewers. Who's
yeah,
been on eBay today in the UK and has had an invite to the hub? We don't know if they're rolling it out or if they're just excluding me.
yeah, exactly. It would be good to know what the situation is there. If anyone else has been added to the eBay Seller Hub. I mean, from what I can see of it, it's just like a rehash. You know, it's like it's the same information, but they've brought it to the front. So, for example, on your Seller Hub page, you can actually see traffic report information. So you don't have to click into Selling Manager and then click into traffic and then look at your figures, which were previously provided, I believe, by a third-party company.
Right.
So now, yeah, so
Cool. Then I mean, I love stats and
oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, apparently I've had 1.2 million listing impressions in the last in this last period, and my click-through rate is 1.4%. I can tell you and it tells you how many percent up or down you are from to the previous period.
Is that useful information? How can you affect that? You know, how can you use that?
Funny you should say that, Nick, but I don't know if you've ever seen or heard of a YouTuber called Nicole State. She's brilliant.
I actually watched the video actually. Yeah, about that.
Rebecca's been watching and I'll start watching, and she's actually really fun to watch. And she actually made a video that she got quite a bit of like hate for, but she's mentioned that because she's been getting a lot of YouTube viewers following her eBay store, it's affecting her where her listings appear in the search ranking, because all these people that are watching YouTube are following her, subscribe to her, then following her store, kind of just to learn what she does. You know, like a lot of people do. A lot of people follow your store, you know, more than they would do otherwise, and same with mine. And people do want to see what you're selling, I guess. They find out your store, and what happens is eBay then see that you've had all these new listing impressions or you've got all these new followers, but they don't they don't convert into any kinds of sales or watches or whatever, and then that affects her, and she's noticed.
Effectively, what you're saying is eBay monitor how many people look at your listings and don't buy it, and if that's high, then they're going to disregard that listing. Because I have so many people follow my store, they found it and they, you know, go in and have a look. So I'm
not sure if it's long term or a short term drop, but obviously if a bunch of people suddenly, if there's like a glut of new followers on your store, it could potentially affect where your listings appear. And she basically pleaded with her followers to not follow her store.
Yeah, I did catch some of that video.
Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. So I was like, wow. So it's quite.
Regarding who's had the hub, Dan Mully says never heard of the hub, not seen it.
No hub. Oh, okay.
I've got no new hub. Leanne says no hub. Peter Bucks. It's just user here.
No hub. No, someone else must have a hub. Go into your eBay, guys, and then it should.
Yeah, I want to find out if it's only Zaheer that eBay has given this newfangled hub to.
Yeah, I'm the only.
I'm feeling left out already.
It's just me. You know,
everyone that's commented has said, I think I saw Smart Reselling say he didn't have it. So yeah,
that's just me then. Nice. I've got the new hub.
Yeah, I want it now.
In case you don't believe me, guys, I mean, here is my hub there. You can see. Oh, where is it? I don't know if you can see it. I don't know. That's the hub. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the seller hub. It's nothing amazing. It's just, but it is pretty cool. Oh, and actually, it is amazing. It's really amazing.
It's not one of those things. I was blissfully unaware until 5 minutes ago, and now I really want it.
Yeah, I got the hub, guys.
So
we're hubbed up.
In other news, I did do a little video, which will probably be up in the next couple of days, of us last day in the shop. We had handed we're going to hand the keys in tomorrow now. We were going to hand them in tonight, but it was too late. So we finished off stripping everything out, and it's quite a sad day really, because of, you know, how much we invested in it personally to strip it all out and shut the door. So yeah, that was today.
Bit of a downer there. I mean, I suppose it's one door closes, the other opens.
Yeah, I mean, we're just as excited about moving forward, and we are happy, and we've made the right decision, and we're glad about it. But it's just like anything, you get those little moments where you realise you're moving on, and that's the end of something. So that's just how it felt today. And Andrea was a little bit upset with the whole finality of it, you know. Yeah. But we are, you know, still glad that we did it and glad that we're now moving on. It was just one of those days. It was a bit of a struggle today.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's when sometimes you can prepare mentally as much as you like, but until whatever happens, you know, like you said, the finality of it, I suppose, is kicking in now, because you guys have been in pretty chipper mood. You know, like I said to you, I almost forget sometimes what you're in the middle of.
Yeah,
I've last few days, it wasn't even in my mind that that's what you guys are up to at all.
Yeah, we did most of the work. We did most of the work sort of a week or two back, and then we've been concentrating on getting this ship shape, and then we had to go back down and just rip out the rest of the fixtures and fittings. So that was kind of how it's worked. So for the last week, we've been concentrating on dealing with all of this at home. But yeah, it's been quite full on for the last couple of weeks. That's why Andrew's actually started listing, and her clothing sales have already overtaken my TAT sales on eBay. Because she's been listing new stuff. I've been sending stuff up to Amazon FBA for the last couple of weeks, and yesterday, cracking day on Amazon, I ended a load of VHSs on eBay and sent it all up to Amazon. They hit the warehouse, and it's all of it sold. Nothing exciting, just some TDK, a few individual ones, and some packs, but sold about 50 quid's worth in a couple of hours, and they've been sat on eBay for months.
Wow, it's funny that, isn't it? It is. Sometimes it's just pitching it to the right person, I suppose, isn't it? Getting it in front of the right eyeballs. You know, there's no shortage of media on eBay, I think, is there? So that's the thing, blank media, there's no shortage of it. So
yeah, and I think that is a perfect product for Amazon. If people think I need something, a brand new video, I think they're more likely to think Amazon for that. And, you know, and perhaps that's more sort of Amazon customer style of thing, you know what I mean? So yeah. I'm going to send all my blank media up there from now on if I get any, and it's got a listing.
Fair enough. We're already on 83 people watching, so hello everyone. We've got 16 thumbs ups, so I'm sure that will increase as well. But just reading through some of the comments and questions. Obviously, guys, as usual, if you just type in question in the chat and ask a question, then we will do our best.
Yeah, welcome aboard, everyone. It seems everyone's jumped on the Tuesday wagon now.
Yeah, I was a bit worried that it would affect things a bit, but it hasn't. So, Dan Mully's got a little question there. What is your subscription levels here? I'm feeling left out. I don't think it's got anything to do with subscription level. It's obviously random. I'm on the middle store, but I don't think that necessarily
it might be something to do with that.
Maybe, but I wouldn't think so.
A quick question I can answer very quickly. Smart Reselling, Darren says, Nick, do you have any experience selling Lego on Bricklink? I've not used it. I know all about Bricklink and I know people that use it, but no, I've always used eBay for Lego.
Yeah, fair enough. Alistair actually says, get that Spectrum tested. Great pickup.
Oh yeah, we had a fun day out.
That was brilliant. I love those videos. Those were absolutely great. Like, so you were literally bona fide hustler style driving around, you know, good old Hitchin. And no, it
wasn't Hitchin. It was Bedford, but that's like about 20 miles away.
Okay, that's brilliant. So I mean, you know, tell us a bit more about your Jumble Trail experience. I mean,
yeah, they're becoming more popular. I know Sean's been to a few, hasn't he? And we've been to now 2 in the last sort of 2 or 3 months. And effectively, it's like a car boot sale, but spread out over an area of a town or a whole village, which was like the first one we went to was in a village, and that was better, I think, actually. And then this one was just in one like estate part of Bedford, quite an upper class area, which was good for us, I think. And then you pay a charity a £5, and then you set up your stall and you get put on the map, and then you drive around and find all these different places and rock up and buy their tat. And it was great, and it lends itself perfectly to making a video because you can get back in the car and have a chat and then try and film at the stalls. And yeah, so do you know if there's any round your way, or have you?
I did check. There's actually a website, isn't there? Jumble Trail. Is there? Yeah,
I think that's how you can promote it.
Set one up as well. unfortunately, there wasn't anywhere near. There's none around here. If there were, I think you'd probably come up with some really interesting items actually. So part of me is thinking it would be cool to set one up. But that
Yeah.
it sounds like such a great idea. It's a great way of like finding stock, I suppose, and plus, I suppose the sellers are going to be more comfortable because they're at home.
Well, I think they're happier to bring out the bulky stuff that they've had, like that Technics, all that
Yeah,
Technics stuff. I doubt he would have lugged all of that to a boot sale. Maybe he
yeah,
would, but he had massive, great speakers with it as well.
sure.
So yeah, it's quite a range of stuff that perhaps wouldn't have been taken to the middle of a field. So in that way, it was good.
And this reminds me of something like it creates an opportunity, doesn't it? Because I often watch a lot of the US resellers, and when they talk about garage sailing, the success some of the guys have just by asking, "Oh, do you have any of this or that?" And suddenly they're like, "Oh yeah," and because it's just behind them, they go in and get it. Whereas sometimes if you're at a boot sale, I've heard sellers say many a times, "Oh gosh, I've got tons more of that at home. I should have bought it all, or I should have bought more." Whereas in this situation, they are at home. They can just go in and.
I need to remember that and employ that tactic. I'm kind of in boot sale headspace, and I just see what's there effectively.
They'll bring out, yeah. They could run in and bring out more.
I'm now thinking I should have said, "Have you got any Nintendo or any
more of this kind of stuff to the Spectrum ladies? You're gonna come out with an Amiga or something."
Yeah, that was a nice find. Well, Andrea spotted that. That was sat under a table, great big box, all in a box, and Andrea. Yeah, noticed.
Pickup. Yeah, that is a superb pickup. David Morse has a question here. Have either of you refurbished Game Boys for resale on eBay? I've started buying up spares and repairs Game Boy SPs and getting new shells to make them Pokemon themed Game Boys. I've not done anything like that. Nick, yourself? No.
No, not really.
That's a clever idea, but it's
it's a great little niche if you can do it and you can get the parts cheap. Why not? All I've ever done is ordered replacement battery covers.
Yeah, battery covers and the front. I've ordered front covers on the Game Boy. Where sometimes they peel off, they fall off the acrylic.
The screen.
On the old Game Boy. So done that, but yeah, that's about as deep as I've gone. So look, Jersey Leams asks question: did you guys hear about or get affected by PayPal not being a payment method on your eBay shop? I heard there was an eBay glitch recently that removed PayPal as a payment method. I did watch Raking Profit's video about this. He brought attention to it, but apparently in the US, for some reason, PayPal was turned off as a payment method in people's listings, and they had to go back into their account settings and tick PayPal as a preferred payment method again.
Nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, so people were going to the listings and unable to pay. No, as far as I know, it hasn't happened over here.
Yeah, I mean, usually you have to have it, don't you? You have to have it as an option.
Well, I think if you go into account settings, because I actually went into my account settings after seeing that, and I think you can tick or untick PayPal as a preferred payment method. I think.
I thought, or maybe it was when PayPal was eBay owned, because they've split now, haven't they?
Yeah.
But I thought it used to be that you had to have that selected.
Well, that's when I had mine attached, and it's been ever since. But there you go. So look, Carol Bell has a question. Do you ever worry about security and theft for your stock? And do you have insurance in place? And is it expensive? Nick, I think you mentioned you did have some cover.
Yeah, I don't lose any sleep over it. I mean, I had a history of being broken into, but that's with my retail outlet. So I was much more paranoid about the shops. But I've never really worried too much about this. But it is insured, and it doesn't add a lot to my premiums. I mean, I've got normal home insurance, and I had a long conversation with the firm that I use, and they just added it on.
So jumble trails, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are interested in jumble trails. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd Google it and go and look at the website, because they're super easy to set up yourself. So it's a great way as a TAT hunter to start one and make some money for charity while you're doing it, and then you know, you can go out on the day and pick up all the tat. So yeah, I'd suggest searching jumble trails or garage trails and have a go. We're planning on doing one hopefully in Hitchin next summer and see how that works out.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
So we thought we'd have a bit of a topic because it's been discussed a lot recently about the whole auction versus buy it now. I know there's been a lot of debate around Anthony's posts, you know, very divisive posts that he put up about he lists everything 99p auction and, you know, doesn't do the buy it now thing. And that's brought up and quite an interesting debate. And then the different ways that you can use auctions. And Zaheer, I know you've been having an experiment recently, so you've got some up-to-date information about how auctions go. So how did it pan out for you?
I think the overall it panned out well. It did what we expected it to do in the majority of cases. I think the main message that came out of it is auctioning things at 99p is obviously a risk. And you should only do it if you really are aware of that risk and understand that your item, no matter how popular it is or good it is, could end up selling at 99p. We did do a couple of our items at 99p. I mean, overall, we put up, I think, 47 auctions, which was about 5 or 6% of our inventory. And we chose items which had a lot of page views as well as watches. Because we didn't want to just put up anything, you know, randomly. We didn't want to just randomly choose some items. We wanted it to give it a good go, as it were. And overall, the good items that we put up, put up at what we would accept as a minimum price, they went well. So I think, I mean, Martin Holgate just mentioned this as well in the UK reseller group, that, you know, if you're say in for an item for a certain amount, then you can just ask your buy it now price as your starting price, as long as you're happy with that amount. And then the worst comes to worst, you'll get one bid, and someone will take it off your hands at your buy it now price. But at least you're giving it an option, or you're giving yourself a chance that there could be a bidding war, and you know you could actually end up getting more. The few items we did at 99p, we didn't do well at. There was one. Or there was a couple that we did okay at, which we started at 99p, but there was a couple which I didn't do so well at. I think one of my big fails was the Aircast boot. I shouldn't have really put that on at 99p. It's just I was getting really fed up of looking at it. It was because it was one of those things.
Is that the medical boot?
Yeah, the medical boot. It's worth good money. That is. I mean,
oh man,
it went for £1 plus shipping. You could have sniped it off me.
No way. I wish I had.
Yeah, if I'd waited long enough, and I know for a fact that I could have gotten about £40 to £60 because I've actually gotten that for a smaller size one before. But just it's about, I mean, like I said, it was an experiment. I thought I'd give it a go. I was only in it for £1, so I covered my shipping, and I was like, sod it, start it at £1, and unfortunately.
I think that's a perfect example, because that is a very, very specialist thing, isn't it? And there was probably one person looking for it that day, and they went, "Wow,
yeah, bargain, yeah."
But you know, I suppose there's a school of thought that says the auction thing attracts a lot of interest because the item's cheap, and you get a lot of people in bidding, and that's when the bidding war can start. But I think that's only going to ring true if it's an item that, you know, like. I watched Les's chat with Anthony. It was very interesting, and I don't have a problem with the guy and how he does things. It suits him. But he's selling like video games that are going to get a lot of views, and they kind of will attract a lot of interest, I guess. And people, he was saying that everything reaches its mark, which I wouldn't necessarily agree with, even with video games. When I used to do auctions, and this is when I stopped doing auctions full stop, I put a Super Mario All-Stars SNES mint in box on. Decided to start it at $4.99 on bids, and it sold at $4.99 on bids. This is about 15 years ago, mind you. But even then, they were selling in that condition for about £30 plus, day in, day out on Buy It Now. And I was livid, you know what I mean? So, and I don't know, I'm not sure of the logic that everything will find its mark, and it is a gamble. But then again, some things may go beyond the normal buy it now price. So
I think the attraction for me, and I think like what we noticed. I mean, Beck did that really cool little spreadsheet just to illustrate it, and I think that helps just see it in black and white. That it does attract attention. We got more watches and views on those items than we had when they were on Buy It Now. And in in a few of the cases, we ended up getting more than we were asking on Buy It Now. So it did work, but we did start these items at a higher price. I mean, one example was I had a really cool looking Star Wars Palitoy from 1982, like one of those Walker things. I paid 18 quid for it at the boot fair, and I had it up for 50 quid for ages. I was getting a couple of watches, but nobody was buying it. Had it up at 40 quid for ages. Again, I was getting a couple of watches, no one was buying it. So I took the same thing, stuck it on at 40 quid at auction, and someone sniped it in the last minute. And I was happy with that because I was like, still more than double my money, obviously minus fees, etc. And it's gone. It's a big box. I don't want it hanging around. I don't buy things to have them hanging around. Buy them to sell them. And it wasn't just that. There was a couple of examples that really stuck out in our head that we turned very quickly. Another example was I had this really cool KitchenAid MVSA thing, which was like attachments for a KitchenAid mixer. I bought it for 8 quid from a booth from a charity shop, and we were getting tons of watches on this thing. We had it up at 60. I then thought just to get the sale, drop it to 50, and we even dropped it to 40 because I was like, we're only in it for 8 quid. You know, it's still 40 quid from 8 quid. I'm happy. Lots of watches, but no one was biting. I stuck it on an auction at 40 odd quid or something, and in the end it went for 48 quid plus shipping.
So as a way of moving stock, you're thinking that this is something you'll continue to do?
I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna continue to do it. I think it's a good. It's nice to have like a day where you know you're getting some stuff finishing. But what I will be doing is I won't be taking any 99p risks. Full stop. I'm going to be going, just my price. And that's it. And if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But that way I'm safe because all it's cost me is 13p. Because if you go over £1 on an auction, irrespective of what store level you are, it's 13 pence.
I might experiment a little bit with some of the stuff that I know is going to have a lot of demand, like that Bang & Olufsen. I might start that on a very high starting bid, but then let that go because there's not many of those about, but there's a lot of demand. So that I think is the key. I was just looking in the chats. There's difference of opinion about whether you should put rare items on auction or are rarer items better on Buy It Now. And I would say Buy It Now because if you've got an item that maybe only 1 or 2 people in the country or in the world are even vaguely interested in, if you put it on
1 second, I want to show you something.
You get one bit, won't you? Oh, he's vanished. Okay, we're now looking at a blank chair. We'll look at me instead. I just saw Les in there. Les had the chat with Anthony, and he was saying the thing I got from the chat with Anthony is that everybody has a method to sell, and I would agree with that. And I don't have a problem with somebody who's using a method that works for them. And I think it's great that we have the debate, and we can all chip in with what works for us. But there is no right and wrong. I've said that 100 times, I know, but I will repeat it. That I don't think there's a right and a wrong way of reselling. Right, what have you got there, Z?
Okay, what I wanted to do is about the rare item. Now, I would actually say rare items are great for auction, but again, as long as you stick this up at the price that you want. The example I'm going to show is this little radio. I bought this radio ages ago for a £5 from a boot fair, and I only recently got around to listing it, and I didn't really know how to price it. I've seen a few sell, but these things don't come up very often. The last one of these sold, I think, about a couple of years ago. There's none on eBay apart from my one. Now I put it up at auction at £100, and it didn't sell. But what it did do, and this is one thing that I think is really good about auctions, is it really does get more eyeballs on your listing. Because I suddenly got from the regular listing had like one person watching it, and that was some kind of radio dealer who was telling me he normally gets these for 30 quid. Why have you asked such a high price? Because I think I had it up at Byte Now at like 150 or 200 pounds or something stupid like that, because I want to cover myself.
Wow.
But then, you know, I thought, screw it. I paid a fiver, stick it on £100 at auction. No one bought it. However, it got me 4 watches. And since relisting it, I've got those 4 watches again at the £100 mark. Now, if nothing else, even if it doesn't sell, it will bring attention to your listing. So there is that.
I wonder why people are attracted to auctions in that way, because surely when they do their search, they're going to find it when it's Buy It Now, or they're just attracted by the slightly lower price.
I really think auctions have something about them that I think there's certain, you know, like we say, there's certain Amazon buyers and then there's certain eBay buyers. I think when it comes to Amazon, there is only a certain Amazon buyer. Or no, actually, there's 2 types of Amazon buyers. There's going to be your Prime buyers that are happy to pay the subscription and want everything. They don't care about the price; they want it now. And then you've got the Amazon buyers that must be happy to buy from merchants. And the same on eBay. There are buyers that are happy to pay Buy It Now prices, and there are buyers that won't even look at Buy It Now. I mean, my wife is a great example. Whenever she shops on eBay, she doesn't even look at Buy It Now. She's only looking at auction.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess, you know, there's a lot of old school buyers that perhaps only search auction, and you're cutting those people out just doing Buy It Now. It's an interesting one. Let me just have a look in the chat and see if we've got any more comments on it. Oh, keeps jumping. Les said something else. What Anthony sells works for him, and with 16 years experience, he knows what will sell at what price. I'm almost a convert. Yeah, for me, starting everything across the board at 99p is never going to happen with me.
No.
I can see if you've got an item that you know there's so much demand for, you're comfortable to start it at a penny because you know it's going to find interest. But
even that, I'd want to cover myself.
Yeah, you are still running that risk.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you don't need to run the risk, because if you put something up at you know, the market price, or you can go just below the you know, go 10 or 20 quid lower if you want. That way you're more covered. And again, it comes down to how much are you in it for. I mean, again, I bring up Martin Holgate because I've spoken to him about this recently, and I've been watching him for a while doing it quite successfully. It is about knowing, like, and just like Les is mentioning about Anthony, it's about knowing what you're doing. There's quite a lot of successful resellers that do it. It's not for everybody. You know, some people are more comfortable with just Buy It Now, and that's great. And majority of my stuff is always going to be on Buy It Now. But I do think that there is no harm in running weekly auctions or once a month auctions, even on items that you've had for a while that you think may be worth it. And you don't even have to take a risk. Like I said, just put it up at your Buy It Now. I think Ken even mentioned that he did an experiment last year where he took 10 of his items and stuck them on at on auction with his Buy It Now prices, and 4 of them sold. You know, someone bid, you know, one bid and took them off him.
I was going to say, can you automate that within the seller manager as well? Is it? I can't remember if you can switch them over that way.
There's an option in Selling Manager to send things to auction. Yeah, so you can do that, or you just end them and do it that way. So, you know, it is definitely something to.
It's interesting. Richard Payne says, I find sometimes people can have auctions running an identical item on Buy It Now, and the auctions will go for higher than people on Buy It Now. I've seen that, but I don't think that is the rule. In fact, I did a video years ago where I bought up items and showed them on the screen, 2 or 3 selling on auction. They'd finished at £4 or £5. The same day, people were selling it on Buy It Now for 10, 12, 15. And I know plenty of people, and I do it myself, who snipe auctions and then put them back on for double, triple the money. and it works. So yeah, I mean, obviously there will be times when, for whatever reason, a bidding war happens. Either these people start bidding, they're too lazy to go and look for another one, so they keep bidding, and one in however many will go way beyond the regular price. But I don't think that's the norm.
No, I think the key is to start it at your at the price that you want. I think that has to be the key.
I think I'm going to try a bit of that.
Or at least close to the price that you want. You know, what you would be happy to take. That's the way I phrase it to myself. What would I be happy to take? That might be below what it sells for, because you're like, well, you know what? It only cost me £1 or it only cost me a £5. Why not? You know, or you might just want to get your money out of it. I mean, the Prince jacket I got rid of, you know, I liked it, but it's 90 quid's a lot of money to have in one item, and be sitting on it for. I mean, I'm sure I could have waited until the 1-year anniversary of his passing and gotten a better result there or whatever. I mean, but saying that, even on it was a bit of an impulse decision by me. I put it on like a 3-day auction, still ending on a Sunday. But in that 3 days, it still managed to pick up more watches than it had ever done throughout its whole life. And in the end, I was happy to get. I put it on at 100 because I was, in my mind, I was happy for someone to pay me 100 quid, so I can get my money out and move on. And that's what happened.
I'm thinking I've still got that Necron army. I'm thinking that owes me nothing. I might do exactly the same as you did with the Prince jacket with that, and we'll see what happens. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, stick on 100 or whatever and just go for it.
Yeah, because it's sat there and it gets so many views and so many watches, and nobody picks it off.
It's, when you got to remember, it's what you're comfortable with, though. There is no,
Well, like I say, it owes me nothing, and I could do with just getting shot a bit anyway. So I might have a go. Someone saying I sniped Banjo Tooie for £45, and no, it will sell. It will get £100 at least for it. So yeah, it's doable.
Yeah,
it really is. Oh, I was just going to show a nice pickup that I don't think I've shown in any videos. Somebody noticed it in the background when I was chatting with Andrea. I finally found this. This has been on my reseller bucket list for bloody ages. And I found pretty much a mint one.
Ghost
Castle, but the condition is fantastic. 100% complete. It does not look like it was made in 1985. It looks like it was bought last week.
Amazing. Yeah, the edges are pin sharp. And
I've gone high. That's going to go in a shipment to FBA tomorrow, and I'm shooting for 60 on it. I was going to go 50, and then I thought, nah, 60. I nearly went higher because it's just in such great condition. But I'm hoping that'll go at Christmas for 60. But I did pay up. I paid 15 in a charity shop.
That's still, you have to be brave sometimes, and go for those higher price items because they bring the better returns, don't they? So
yeah, and I really wanted it.
I just really wanted it. That's it.
But the money's there, even with FBA king size fees. I'm going to lose a tenner instantly in fees, if not more. But I'll still get 50 out of it, maybe, or just below. So yeah, happy days.
Exactly, and it will go quickly as well. So
hopefully.
Well, hopefully, yeah.
Oh, someone's saying they've got a frozen picture of Nick. Can someone say in the chat if you can see us okay?
You're working fine at the moment.
Oh, okay, cool.
I've got it open in the window, so it's fine. John Cottrell asks, how often do you guys buy stuff for yourself and your homes at car boots and charity shop? I see that as a way of saving money, which in turn adds to my overall disposable income. Yeah, all the time for me. All the time. If there's an opportunity, if there's something I need, definitely. What about yourself, Nick?
Yeah, I do. I tend to be so zoned into stuff to resell. I sometimes forget to look, for stuff that I actually need. But Andrew's much better at picking things up for Ellen or for the house or whatever. What I do find is packing supplies. And envelopes and bubble wrap and stuff like that people randomly have at a car boot sale, and I'll pick it up cheaper than I can anywhere else. Or paper. I rarely buy paper in the shops. I buy reams of paper at the car boot sale for 50p or £1 a pack.
Yeah, I have to say that actually, to be more accurate, Rebecca's always got her you know, she's the one that's got her mind open to the benefits of buying things for the home and for the kids from boot fairs and charity shops, simply because I think also you doing this, you realize that there's no need to pay shop prices for things. You know, there's plenty of stuff out there. You know, I've got everything I've got, even furniture. Sometimes you get such better value by going secondhand.
Yeah, there's something about reselling. It does end up making you a tight-fisted whatever, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, you value things a little bit more.
Exactly. I just saw someone that said that they list on 10-day auctions on a Thursday to end on Sunday. That's how I used to list, going way back when, before I was a complete buy it now convert. I used to use, back then it was Turbo Lister, and I would do all the drafts or whatever and upload them all on a certain night. I think we had 2 nights we used to do, but we used to kick them off at a certain time of night and to end on a certain day. And we bought into all of that. I think that there is a certain amount of logic to it, but I think these days it doesn't matter so much because people buy on their phone, whether they're, you know, out and about or watching the telly or whatever. But Sunday evening tended to be the kind of what
I think
people
that's
generally
still what people aim for. That's what I mean, I just went with that as well, to be honest. I don't, from everything I've read and heard, it's all about Sunday and, you know, evening time, like 7-8 o'clock, and you know.
Yeah, or at least evening. Yeah, I'd go for sort of 8-9 o'clock when people are sat down on the sofa with a glass of wine, spending money.
Exactly.
All right, someone said midnight is the best time for sniping.
Way out any of the early hours, I suppose.
I use a sniping program, so I snipe anytime, as in I put my highest snipe amount in and then it snipes for me, so it doesn't matter what time it ends for me.
Yeah.
Are you bargain hunters in the food supermarkets with yellow stickers or whoopsies? I do like a good bargain.
What's a whoopsie?
It's like when something's close to its sell by. I don't know if it's Asda that use the whoopsies, so they just put a sticker over it that says now 50p or whatever.
Oh, is that what it says? Whoopsie on it. I've never known. I buy yellow sticker stuff all the time, whenever I can. Yeah.
My sister is a demon at that. She goes down to certain Tesco's at certain times when she knows they put the, you know, end of day stuff out, and she gets crazy stuff and chucks it in the freezer. Yeah, she's good on that. I forget half the time to go down at the certain times. About 8-9 o'clock at night.
There's certain times, yeah, definitely, that people kind of, you know, I'm not sure of the times I pay yet, but they always seem to have stuff anyway, so it's okay.
Right, I think we're doing okay getting up to date on these.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, 110 people watching now, which is awesome.
Did you make a video about your auction exploits then? Because I managed not to see that.
Yeah, no, I did. I made a video about it. We only uploaded it last night. Beck did a really cool little spreadsheet for it, so you can. What we did is we put on the spreadsheet like what we paid for it, what we were asking for it on Buy It Now, what we started it at auction, what it sold for. So it was very black and white, and then some of the fails are pretty big, but the other side is some of the other bits are really good as well. So you know, it works out.
That's interesting. Andrea said to pass on a message that because we were, before we went to bed, we were sat there waiting for the Malik's video. And Andrea wasn't happy. She didn't get her Malik fix.
You know what? We're not. I don't think we're not doing as daily as we were. We're still trying, but sometimes you just sit there and you think, what can we talk about? Yeah. And then you think you just can't do it. I'd love to make daily videos, but I don't have that much. I have a lot to say. I can't stop talking, but not necessarily all of it's useful for
it is difficult. That's why that garage trail sale thing was perfect, because you know, you can kind of vlog it as you go, and then you've got a haul if you want to make a haul as well. But I'm amazed at some of the big YouTubers who are daily vloggers, because they just
vlogging isn't so hard in a way. Well, I say that as an obviously, like, I know what I'm talking about, but vlogging in a way, it's itself in a way. You just have to kind of talk about what you're doing as you're doing it each and every day, which is very intrusive, but
I
Um,
find that hard to do unless I've got a specific thing to talk about, or I think I've got something that's interesting to show. I find that difficult just talking about stuff. And I was going to say the daily vloggers, some that I follow, I think, I don't know, it must be a certain switch in your head that tells them it's okay to just talk about naff all, because I struggle with that.
I tell you what, the best vlogger that I know is Casey Neistat. He's just insane. I mean, he's a filmmaker, that guy. He does daily vlogs and they're just incredible. Just to watch, they're incredible.
Yeah, I have seen him. He makes stuff
Oh,
interesting.
brilliant.
That's the talent.
Yeah, he does. And I want a boosted board as well.
Oh yeah.
That is the coolest thing, isn't it? The speeds that he goes through the cars and stuff. It's just like awesome. All right, we've got some questions coming in as well.
Go for it.
Let's have a look. Richard Payne asks, do you ever get embarrassed buying large quantities of items or particular weird items? Nick, I don't think you do get embarrassed.
Well, I guess they're talking about buying in supermarkets, buying shelves loads of stuff. I started doing that in 2002. So you just get over your own sort of self-awareness of it. And also, what is a godsend with doing that is self-service checkouts, because you can scan it through yourself, and to a certain extent, you don't have that, direct eye contact with the person going beep, beep, and then they look at you funny like 20 of these exactly, But I don't worry too much. In fact, I revel in it these days. I wait for the weird questions.
Okay. Gary Dunster asks, how do you get around the standard charge for Royal Mail on eBay, which is max £3.50, even though a first class 2 kg parcel costs £6.60? What does that mean?
Well, if the maximum allowed to charge for something is £3.50, but it's actually going to cost you £6.60, you just factor it into your starting cost, I would say.
Oh, right. Oh, you're talking about where some listings have got limits, haven't they?
Like in media, if you're listing a box set or something in DVDs and you can't charge
£3.99 or whatever.
Yeah, if you can't charge enough and you know you're going to lose money on the postage, just start if you're going to sell it for a tenner, just sell it for 15 instead, and just factor it in. Would be what I'd do.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look. Steve Green says daily vlogs don't have to be entertaining. Trust me. I think that's disingenuous. Steve, your vlogs are brilliant, and you should keep doing them just as you're doing them now, because they're fantastic.
The Steve Green adventure continues.
Yes, definitely. Let's have a look. The Hillsman 25 says, I find most people buy whilst EastEnders is on. They must have the dinner, put the kids to bed, then watch EastEnders whilst on the iPad and spending on eBay and Amazon. Possibly.
I wish my daughter was in bed at that time. Blimey, we're lucky if she's off to bed at like 10:30, 11 these days.
Yeah. Smart Real Selling Darren asks, Nick, have you ever parted out Lego sets?
Yeah, but not on Bricklink that somebody was asking about earlier. But yeah, I have broken down stuff. I've not done the whole buy new stuff in bulk and broken it down, but I have had sets that I figured are worth more to take the baseboard out and then sell off the figures and then sell this and that. But yeah, just work it out set by set. Some aren't worth doing and some certainly are. It's been interesting watching Ben and his journey, discovering the best ways to sell Lego. I know he's into building up absolutely everything. And in some cases, I think you can actually spend way too much time doing that. But that's how he loves to do it. And I've done a lot of that as well. But yeah, some sets, it's just better to break it down and sell the bits off.
Okay.
How are you? Somebody asked actually earlier, Z, how much Lego have you got left? Have you got rid of all yours?
Pretty much. I think I've gotten... I think I've only gotten like the Lego City Space Center thing left. And I've got a Technics motorbike.
I can see one Lego box behind you to your left.
That's the Lego City one, yeah.
Is that third one down? That's a Lego. That's an old Harry Potter, not a Lego. It's one of the early Harry Potter games.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. The one that you put it all together. I got all of these from the same person for like couple of quid each. They're all complete as far as I know. They're listed. They're just waiting to sell. I was thinking of sending them up to FBA, but then I decided against it. Don't know why.
I was going to show another one that's worth picking up, but I've put it somewhere. Oh, here it is.
Oh.
I've not had this before. This is a sealed one, so I shouldn't have any trouble getting 30 to 35. It's called City of Zombies, and apparently it's like a maths tuition game. You've got to be able to work out sums and do things to be able to survive in the game, and it's got won loads of awards. But even secondhand, these go well on either platform, Amazon or eBay. This one, unfortunately, the seals come away there. It's got a bit of sort of denting on the corner where someone's peeled off the sticker. So I'm actually going to do this eBay and go for 30 with £5 shipping.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, if you see that in the wild, grab it.
Great little bolo there. Tom Rees has a question. He asks, would you say it's better to be a generalist? I walk past so much stuff I know you guys sell, but as I'm into a niche, I just leave it. I don't know. My answer changes to this sometimes, because sometimes I think you should be like a generalist, and then I suppose I'd say I'm a generalist because I've got such a variety of items to sell, but I'd say I'm a generalist in things that I'm at least a little bit interested in, because there's no point in you going out and buying things to generalize in if you're not going to then have the passion or the want to list them, because that can happen. I've found where I've bought things that I just don't want to list, I just don't want to sell, and then it ends up just sitting there. So it kind of makes me think, actually, maybe you shouldn't be a complete generalist. You should at least have some little investment in whatever it is that you're buying, other than money, obviously, a little investment in terms of interest.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly with that. I mean, obviously being a generalist helps you. The obvious way is because you're going to find more stuff. You, like the chap said, he passes by stuff that he sees other people selling all day long, so you know it's out there. But I would have to concur with what you were saying about, if you get into every market, you end up naturally leaving stuff to one side because you don't know much about it, or you don't enjoy listing it or testing it, which is my bugbear. So yeah, I mean, I naturally gravitate towards media and towards board games and towards toys. I enjoy the listing process with all of those. Whereas the other stuff, the technology, clothes, I don't enjoy the process. I don't enjoy listing them. I feel that my knowledge isn't up to scratch. So those things get left and left and left. So yeah,
I know it'll sound strange, but I don't pick up Harry Potter book sets unless they're a complete set, as in, you know, that when they sell them in a little case. But yeah, I won't pick up books to make up sets. I just haven't. I couldn't think of a worse thing to do. Same with Nerf guns. I see so many. I used to see so many. I just, not my cup of tea. I've tried, and all of these things I've tried and I have sold, but I've realized that I don't really want to deal in it. And so just because it's something that you see and everyone's telling you it's great, it doesn't necessarily mean you've got to just go after it. I definitely think that's good advice, that kind of, obviously if you're struggling and you need something, you're struggling to find inventory, you may not have a choice, but that's a different situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's some interesting comments and questions. Narrowboat Trev was saying that he watched Caroline's video about where she bought the little wedding fascinators, bought them in bulk, and they've started selling. So retail arbitrage is everywhere. You just got to keep your eyes peeled, really.
Definitely.
Oh. Someone else also avoids Nerf and books. You're not alone.
Yeah, Chrissy said to say, yeah. I'm a generalist with, Heatherwood says, I'm a generalist with some specialist areas, I guess. I love learning about new areas. Yeah, learning's probably the most fun part, isn't it? When you get into something to understand it, because you might find that you're interested in it, You know, I picked up some RC stuff, and suddenly I found myself watching lots of RC videos and learning about RC cars, like hobby grade RC cars, and I found that I'm quite interested in it, and it might be something I'd get into more. So yeah, it happens. Let's have a look.
Darren says, how about you two team up against Rebecca and Andrea and have your own BBC £50 challenge?
I don't know. I don't know how that would work out. And Andrew's got an advantage over Rebecca though. She's been doing it for a lot longer. Beck's not really that into her sourcing at the moment. She's getting there though.
We could have a listing challenge. That would be easier to sort out.
A listing challenge, yeah, that would be good. We could use Turbo Lister.
We could have a week where we go hell for leather and see who gets the most new listings done. Perhaps we should do that. Not every week. That'd just be too.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. But it becomes too much.
We'll think about it.
Yeah, Peter Buxton says, "I'm not sure I could sell stuff I'm not interested in. Knowledge is power."
Yeah, I find it so hard to list things I don't have that level of interest or passion in, and like I said before, they end up getting left and then just clogging up the office. I've still got, oh, you can't see them in the dark, but the stack of VCRs is there now, Zaheer.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. It's crazy because I must have 200, 250 quid's worth sat there.
But what's funny is that you're buying more electronics on top.
I know. Well, when I saw that, you're talking about the Technic, not
just the Technics, but you've got like a little B&O thing going on. You've got,
Funnily enough, I kind of wanted to push myself, but I'm still, I haven't got myself, I'm just about there ready to start listing, from now on. But I wanted to challenge myself to...
when you get your first meaty sale out of that, like when you sell like the CD player for like 40, 50 quid or whatever, then maybe it will spur you on to the rest.
Yeah, I have sold this stuff in the past.
Yeah.
And like anything, you love it when it sells.
Yeah.
My stumbling block is the testing. Like with all those separates, there's just so many bits and bobs to test. It's not just you got to see if it fires up. You then got to put a CD in it and check all the buttons, and you got to. And I don't know, that just puts me off. That's all it is. It's silly, really. I'm trying to push myself to just do it.
Fair enough. I think
very soon I'll just have a week where I dig out all of my tech and list a lot.
Yeah, do a lot in one go. Moheen Dean asks, what profit margin should I aim for in each item I buy?
You need to work out how much you want and how much your time is worth. That does vary for a lot of people. You've got to think about how much time you're going to invest in something and how much that time is worth to you. So is it worth listing something for a couple of pound profit? For many people, no, but others will do that happily. Yeah. What about yourself, Zaheer? Do you have a mental...
Yeah, I can't really work out what my, per hour, what I should be aiming for, because everything's a bit sporadic for me. But we tend to just... It's a combination. How easy is something to list? Is it bulky? Is it small? There's so many different factors. There might be items out there that are really small, easy to store, that might not bring a lot of profit, but are worth it. I suppose I do have something like that. I love my action figures. Most action figures you're not going to sell for more than like 10, 15 pounds tops. Very few. There's a few out there, but there's not many which will go for more than that. But I'll happily pick them up and list them because you can stuff a lot of them into a large crate. I love photographing them. They're easy to post. They're no headache. So I don't mind that I'm paying £1 and maybe only selling for 10 to 15.
Yeah, same here with media. I send stuff, particularly stuff I'm sending to Amazon, talking DVDs and CDs and stuff. I'm happy to send an item up if I'm only going to make £2 or £3 on it, because the work involved is so negligible. It's scan, pricing, when the labels are printed out, stick the label on in a box. So the amount of time handling that item is 30 seconds to a minute, and then it just goes away with the rest of them. So I'm happy if you think it's, let's say there's a couple of minutes invested in that CD, I'm happy to make £2 or £3 on it. Yeah, whereas with going back to the tech stuff, there'd be no point in buying something you think you're going to make a fiver out of if you've got to spend an hour testing it.
Yeah, the tech stuff's only worth it because it can be so, you know, in a lot of cases it can be lucrative. I mean, there are ways around that. I mean, I've got my hi-fi set up anyway, so for me testing separates is not difficult. I just literally, you know, I've actually got a spare set of phono cables, you know, already connected to my amp, so I just take whatever I've bought, plug it in, see if it works, and then go from there. So, but again, that's because I'm one of those weird people that still listens to CDs. So
yeah, plus that's your passion, and what you just described, you made sound really simple and easy. I wouldn't know where to start with that.
So, but that's it. It is about, you know, that whole thing of interest comes in again, doesn't it? How interested are you in what you're selling? So look, Sandra Bevan has a question. Asks, Ben says on his videos that he keeps books all year to sell over the winter months. Do you have anything you hold back?
Yeah, certain toys and games, anything Christmas related, obviously. Christmas decorate. I've done really well on certain Christmas decorations. And there's a woman local to me that I picked up all those tools. I sniped off her. They cover their house in Christmas decorations, and they're moving, and she's selling the lot. But she wouldn't sell them direct to me. She's going to put them on eBay, but that sort of thing. Obviously, wait till December for that. Certain clothing, I will hold back. Certain shoes, which are seasonal. It's pretty obvious, really. It's not rocket science like most things.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't have as much tat as you, so I just list it all. I actually did sell a wooden Christmas tree in July or something, or June.
Yeah, that's not to say you can't sell stuff out of season. And you know, clothing wise, it's amazing what you can sell out of season, because there's an odd demand as well for like summer stuff in the middle of winter, because people are going on holiday and none of the shops have it. And you can sell, you know, bikinis in the middle of December and January quite easily, because there's an odd demand online, because all the high street stores no longer stock it. And likewise for winter coats in the middle of summer, you can still sell them, but obviously there's going to be way more demand in the actual season, so they're easier to sell at that point. Let's have a look at questions. Oh. Do you have any listing time-saving tips for eBay?
Personally, if you're using a Windows computer, I've got to say Turbo Lister is really good. Or use, I mean, it's temperamental. If you're using Turbo Lister, you've got to make sure you don't mess around with your listings on the eBay website. But it's a very good free tool to allow you to list quicker, because it's all offline, and then you just upload everything in one go. Or I suppose if you use something like Octiva, that would help you speed up. The other main tip would be to if you edit your photos, for example, if you crop them, do it on your computer before you. I mean, again, I use my computer, so I know a lot of people use their phones, and it won't apply to them, but I found that editing your photos on the computer is so much quicker in batches than editing them as you upload them using the eBay tools, because the eBay tools are just clunky and not as quick. So that's my advice. But what about yourself, Nick?
Yeah, I concur with those. Using listing programs can be great. I'm moving away from that, ironically, to the phone. But also just doing the finding a product that somebody else has done and do sell similar. That's a great shortcut, and it pre-fills a lot of stuff for you. And also a shortcut which sounds a bit obvious, but many people forget this: list in batches of similar items, because then, you know, you can do all your research really quickly. You can then do a template and then do sell similar from your own listing, and knock through them super fast. So that's a great one. You know, get together. Don't do a random, you know, don't sell a tripod and then a mug and then a Wookiee, because you're going to have to start from scratch each time. You know what I mean?
There's an example of a generalist, guys. Tripod, mug, and a Wookiee.
This is the coolest thing. And I've got 4 FBA on it. I'm actually going to send this to FBA, even though it's used. And the box isn't great, because they're going for good money. But hold on.
That is cool.
You can barely see his eyes. He looks like Monty when we haven't... Shut up. He looks like Monty when we haven't trimmed him for like 6 months. But you can't barely see his eyes. But yeah, I can't remember the numbers, but on FBA they're really good. So he's going to go in. Somebody said, I think the question went past ages ago, do you have any issues selling, or have you had any issues selling used products on FBA? Nothing spectacular. I've had some returns, but I do pretty well selling used stuff on FBA. Just be super clear in your description. That's all I'd say. And take photos, and then you're covered. Oh, he's molting. His hair's coming out.
Molting.
Yeah, he was a cool pickup. And did you see those? Did you watch that video where I got the placemats?
Yeah, I saw those. Those were awesome. The 1982 jobbies. Yeah.
Yeah, these ones.
Brilliant.
I didn't really notice them. They were on the stall where that was, but I kind of glossed over them. And then when I got chatting to the guy, this is why it always benefits you to become chatty with the stall holder, because it's easier to haggle, is one cynical way of putting it, but also they're happy to help you and talk about stuff. And it's amazing, you know, things that people have pointed out to me when I've been chatting to them that I've ended up buying. And yeah, it always pays off to be friendly and chatty, I find. Right, how are we doing in here?
Mark Davies asks a question. Hi, I watched Mini Millionaire's video on matched betting. What are your thoughts on this? My partner is not keen, but it seems like a good idea.
No idea.
Yeah, match betting is, I don't know anything about it. I'd say anything to do with betting, just tread with caution and, you know, do your research. But yeah, it's not something I've gotten into ever. So
no, I didn't even watch the video, to be fair. So I can't really comment, but not something I've ever got involved with.
Yeah. Andy Nev asks, what are FBA service fees? I just signed up, sold one item, but I owe them money. How does that work?
That might be your subscription fee coming out. There's a monthly charge, depending on, you know, how you're set up with it. So it might be that they're taking that out, but you've not accrued enough money to cover it, potentially. Don't know. You can go in and get a full breakdown of what you're being charged for, or just give them a call. Amazon customer services are fantastic. So if you're confused or you just want, you know, answers, I'd give them a call. But I would imagine that's the monthly fee. Would you think, Zaheer?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it make sure that it is. Otherwise, obviously, you're selling something which is losing you money. So yeah, double check that. I mean, there should be somewhere to find that info out. But yeah, it sounds like it probably is. If you've signed up, that is.
A lot of people ask me direct questions on YouTube about Amazon, the ins and outs of Amazon. I would say, don't be scared to ring them up. Well, actually, you just log your number and they ring you, so it doesn't even cost you anything. And I find them so helpful. So I'd go straight to the organ grinder there. Someone's just said, looks like a Yorkshire Terrier. I assume we're talking about the Chewy again.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Chrissy Curtis asked, do you do your accounts monthly or do you let them pile up and have to do them months at a time?
Well, in my head, I always say I'm going to do it monthly this month.
Yeah, I've not done it monthly yet. I do want to do them monthly, but so far it's been a very few long days gathering like receipts, trawling through pages and pages and pages of online receipts and emails to get all my stuff together. So
yeah, I keep on top of receipts to an extent, but I am not an organized person, and this hopefully has come across over the years. But I tend to, and I've been doing my own accounts now for 13 years, and I tend to just leave it, and I will spend a whole day doing it. Andrea tends to be in charge of printing off all of the stuff that we need to print off, and then I collate everything, do all the numbers, and fill in the forms. But yeah, I could make it a lot easier on myself. But the way I see it, I suppose, is that one day a year, I just save all the grief for that one day.
Okay. Let's have a look. Aidan Sinclair asks, would you haggle the price with a charity shop if you were to buy a lot of items from them?
Potentially, yeah. It's a thorny issue, this one. I've mentioned this before as well. I have done that once on a stack of graphic novels, and they were really happy to get them shifted. But as a rule, in a charity shop, I will pay the ticket price. Yeah. Have you ever haggled at all in a charity shop?
I've not, but I think Ben mentioned that he tends to he's got like a way of asking them for a bundle price. So some people, there may be a nice way of doing it if you're buying a ton of stuff. I've heard that he mentioned that, could you do me a bundle price or something like that? So, but you'd only do that obviously if you were picking up a lot of items, because it's obviously overall going to be a donation for the charity, so they'll overall be willing to help. And if they knew that you'd buy something if it was a little bit cheaper, if they knew that you were going to buy like a ton of items if it was a little bit cheaper, then they'd probably be more than happy to do it. So I don't know, but I'm not saying all that. I've not haggled in a charity shop.
Oh, excuse me. I just saw an interesting thing. Gary Carroll was saying, love both of your channels. Just a quick question about Amazon over eBay. I have an item that sells relatively low, 15 to 30 on eBay, yet on Amazon the price ranges from 45 to 200. Funnily enough, this isn't unusual, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will sell quickly on Amazon. What I would tend to do with something that has that big difference in price would be to check the sales history on Camel. So just take either the barcode or the ASIN number and drop it into Camel, and then click on sales ranking, and that will see the spikes will show you how often it sells. And if it sells regularly, and then you can check the price history as well, it does actually sell quite often at those prices, and then stick it on. But some things on Amazon do go for a lot more, and it's the weirdest thing sometimes. So yeah, just do your research, I would say, as with most things.
Definitely. Let's have a look. Question. David Morse asks, hey, you sold the Prince jacket. Were you partly gutted that it went really nice piece? Yeah, I was a bit gutted. I won't lie. I was a bit gutted. I was gutted in terms of it going, and I was gutted in terms of the price a bit. But I knew what I was doing. I knew the price. It wasn't like it was a surprise. The price I set it up at, we put the price in ourselves. But yeah, as a piece, it was very nice, and I'd love to have something like that for myself on a display one day. But until I've got a big enough house to have a room for displaying such items, I'm happy to see it go to someone else who can.
I think a good point with items like that is you've had it up for sale for X amount of months, and you didn't get the higher price you wanted, but you've managed to get all of your investment out, or pretty much all of it. Did you get everything back, do you think?
Yeah, I think I would have gotten pretty much everything back.
So there's no harm in doing that, and I am a proponent of cashing stuff in if it's slow sometimes, and then you've got that cash again, you've liquidated it, and you can put it into something that you will sell quick, and then you've got them. It keeps things moving in a way, and I think there's no harm in. I'll do that on sticky items. I'll reduce the price and get it gone, and then I've got that money to reinvest, and there's no harm in doing that, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Hooper asks question: why not invite your other halves for a live chat one week? They've got to want to do it. We
should do, or we could have them with us.
Yeah,
I did suggest to the girls actually at one point, a week or so back, that the girls should do one, and then they can talk about us. I'm not sure if that's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think we're best to keep in control. Okay. I think, have we got any more questions? I don't think there's anything new there.
No, I think we've done quite well keeping up for
Yeah,
once.
we've done okay. Yeah, we've done okay. Pretty good. We've still got 109 people watching us after an hour and 15, is it, or something like that?
Oh, yeah, I didn't realise we'd been that long. Yet again, it just flies by. When we did the chat with Vinny, I swear we've been talking for 20 minutes. We looked up and it'd been an hour.
Yeah, it flew by. Yeah. Well, there's one more question. David Morse asks, and then we'll call it that. I think. Will you be buying up much Star Wars stock in time for the new movie?
I hadn't really thought about it. If I find stuff and it's the right price, then yeah, I did buy a fair bit of RA going back a couple of months, which I sent the whole lot up with Christmas in mind. So I've kind of done a little bit already.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've got the same. Actually, I bought some stuff and it's up there waiting for people to sell theirs, and then I can sell mine at Christmas, hopefully. But it's again, there's so many different avenues to make money, aren't there? There are so many different items that you can get into. It's just you can't keep on top of all the trends all the time. You know, and like Nick's also got, you know, few items behind him that need listing. So
Really?
yeah. I don't know if you noticed. Yeah, just, you know.
The other funny about Star Wars, the other thing that I have put by is that Star Wars Lego pickup I had back in the summer. I'm hopefully going to get that on sort of November time to tie in with Christmas and the film.
Do you know what's really bad? I've not even seen the new film yet.
Oh, the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I've not seen that. I've not seen the Batman Superman movie. I've not seen Suicide. I've not seen anything. So
yeah. I fancied Suicide Squad, but it got panned in the reviews.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, shame. Screw the reviews. I'll decide for myself. Okay.
Well, do you want to call it a day there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, time for some dinner. Thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. You know, we really appreciate it. It's just it's amazing. Actually, every week we get like over 100 people just watching us chat. It's just
it's good. I enjoy, you know, having that way that we can actually talk one-on-one with people and we can answer questions that people put forward, and it's always nice to chat to you, mate.
Yeah, definitely. It's been brilliant.
So until next time,
yeah.
I doubt very much it'll be Andrew and Beck sat here, but maybe sometime in the future.
All right, guys.
Until then, take it easy. Thanks, E.